Good day, loves. We are live with another episode of the Holistic Freedom Secrets podcast. This is episode 51, and I am Coach Tinsy.
I'm Coach Soul.
Good day. We're live on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yes,
Can you
indeed.
bring that down a little?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. It is Monday, as you all know, or if you don't know, you're going to know.
Mhm.
Our Holistic Freedom Secrets podcast follows our 5-pronged holistic health model of holistic healing system, which consists of the concepts of be, cleanse, fuel, move, and shine. Today is Monday, so it's B Day. And today's episode is entitled Just Be, Learning the Difference Between Yourself and Your Story. Learning the difference between your story and yourself. There's so much that we can talk about. We can't cover this whole topic in 10 episodes, but there's definitely some insight that we can provide in regard to this topic, and some insights that you all can provide in the comments as well once you hear what we got to say. So feel free to like, subscribe, follow,
And notify yourself that we're going live.
And meet us in the comments so that we can interact and be a real community out here in these social media streets.
Yeah, and share this with a friend. It really helps a whole lot with the algorithms that we're up against. And it just also helps to get the word out. So if you are enjoying the content of this podcast so far, or if you're enjoying this topic, then definitely share this with a friend. And
Yeah. So first thing that we'd like to get into is what it means to know the difference between yourself and your mind and your story on a basic level. And then we can move into deeper levels of subtlety as the episode progresses. But on a basic level, your story is a mental construct. Your story is a mental, emotional construct, meaning it's constructed inside the realm of your own mind. Pardon me as my voice wakes up. As you go throughout your day-to-day experiences, as I go throughout my day-to-day experiences, there's a through line that isn't necessarily based in the absolute truth, but it's based in personal resonance that I tell about myself, about the world. And this through line is called my story. It's called my story because I'm making it up as I go. And everyone has their own story, and everyone is making it up as they go. Now, there are a lot of elements of your story that are true, and there are a lot of elements of your story that are just conceptual and personal to you, meaning they're not based in truth, they're based in, again, what resonates with you, resonance. And this story, unfortunately or fortunately, is what ties us or attaches us, I'll say, so tightly to the things in our past that we regret, the things in our past that have left trauma responses and trauma back there, and the things in our future that frighten us or anger us or what have you.
Or make us feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's this story that, again, fortunately or unfortunately, makes it possible to live in fear, to live a lie, and stay stagnant in certain things, right? Because it's like, for instance, we know many people, and we've had many people as clients, coaching clients in our lives so far, that are really, really attached to the story of how much their job and their employment hinders their spiritual progress, or like emotional stability progress. And a lot of our job sometimes as coaches comes down to coming helping them, guiding them back to the here and now, where we can remind them that, well, this here and now, which doesn't have any of these issues and doesn't have any of these problems and still has you, is available when your coworker or when your boss is around. And excuse me, and you can tap into the the true essence of self, or the true essence of the here and now, right in the moment, before, after, or during the thing that bothers you throughout your workday, and practice emotional stability, or conscious living, if you will, right there in the moment. And no one's stopping you, and no one has ever stopped you from doing so,
And it's these
except for
little
the story.
reminders. Yeah. This reminds me of a time that I was just walking around the with my client. We went on a walk together, and we were talking about the difference between the story and like the raw experience of what's actually going on now, and how it's so lightning fast, especially at first when we are just made aware of the difference between our stories the and ourselves, and that comparison that we learned from the Robert Scheinfeld course that he had, where it's just this visualization of, this is the raw experience of what's going on, this is the appearance of the image, this is the audio playing in the mind or spoken through the mouth, this is the
Energetic, emotional
the
energy.
sensations
Mhm.
felt in the body, this is that. And then this is the story about what it means, whether it's right or wrong, so on and so forth. And it just covers it and becomes this new thing that now it's the story of, this feeling came over my body, and you said this, and I knew that it meant this, and whatever. It can either be a positive story or a negative story at the whim of the mind, and the conscious mind is at the whim of all of the history that we have built up in our lives, of the automatic reactions, the things that we filed away in our mental filing cabinets that was good, and the things that we filed away that was bad. And it takes time to kind of notice the story being different from um, the actual what happened, right? What is happening now? What happened? And well, that may be a little misleading for me to say it takes time, because you can notice in an instant, but over time it becomes like quicker that you begin to notice this and begin to kind of separate the two so that you can deal with it more healthily, is what I'm meaning, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, 100%. And in dealing with this story that comes and attaches itself to the raw experience, pardon me, uh, there's a practice of detachment that you learn to apply to the story. You can't detach from your raw experience, as it is true. It is here and now.
Yeah, that would just be denial.
That would be denial,
And
and that would be
lying.
a story.
Yeah.
So you cannot detach from reality, from here, from now. but you can detach from your interpretation of events and feelings that visit here and now for a limited time, or even long, like, years and years of the same story. You can detach from this sort of long, steady pattern of story as well. I think it's a good time to talk a little bit about some more specifics in this same regard, right? So what's coming to mind right now is I was watching a clip of a teacher right now. His name is, I think, Bashar. Bashar, he channels ancient beings or whatever, and they come to through his words to the audience in like a lecture type of vibe. And people come up to the microphone and they share with him some things, and then he responds with what the ancient beings are saying to this person. And there was one instance where it was very quick, it was very on point, and it was very passionately said, yet its deep meaning was very subtle, and hopefully it was caught by the person he was speaking to. But this lady, she came up to the mic and she said to him, she said, I've been stuck at this, or I've been stuck in this loop of something regarding her relationship.
Mm.
And when she said, she explained a little bit about what it was, and then she described it as, and I've been stuck in this loop of my relationship. And Bashar, or the one speaking through him, say, "Ooh, how exciting!" Right, which is a pattern interrupt to the storytelling. The storytelling is, this is negative, this is boring, this is redundant, this is bad, and I don't like it. Whereas the pattern interrupt that he introduced was, ooh, how exciting to find yourself right here and now with this opportunity to deal with this big change, or to introduce this
healing,
opportunistic way of thinking about a change that can happen.
You mean optimistic?
Optimistic, but no, opportunist has a bad connotation. Just where you're thinking about it in terms of the opportunity it provides you.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, how exciting!" And then he proceeds to go into spiritual teacher mode and talk about how choosing excitement can benefit, even the most boring, redundant situations. And it's very true, right? And what is important about it that I wanted to bring up is this concept of pattern interrupt, or pattern interruption, where we are used to speaking a certain way.
I got you. There's a little alarm going off in real life, so I'm going to turn it off.
Yeah. To interrupt the pattern of how you speak about your story, how you speak about yourself, is so powerful, because it creates the opportunity for you to introduce the starting point of where it's going to start to change for you into your story, and tell a new story about it, right? So right from that day, this lady had a new way to look at their Grand Rising, a new way to look at this situation that she found herself in, this circumstance that she found herself in, and tell a new story about it, and evolve, and do so from a place of enjoyment, right? Do so from a place where she's enjoying changing how she's talking about, changing how she's thinking about, changing how she's feeling about, and changing how she's acting within this circumstance. And that's just the most powerful formula when it comes to changing, being the change, if you will, for what you see and what you experience in your life.
Yeah, so I kind of heard a little bit of what you said at the tail end. Um, I feel like this is a good kind of almost, not to say introduction, because we've talked about this before in different ways, different angles on the podcast, but a way of highlighting the importance of and reminding us all of the difference between the stories that we tell in our minds through our feelings, the stories that we associate with the good and the bad in our lives, and just really
Judy.
good day, love. Remembering that we can change, remembering that we can tap into that excitement, we can tap into the imagining the new possibility and how can I react from an aligned place now? How can I be responsible
Mm-hmm.
in the this next moment that I'm creating? Um, Often when I'm going through a really challenging moment, whether it's self-doubt or it's I'm being met with feeling like I want to like almost draw back and withdraw away from life and the challenges of it, or even as far as escapism, whether it's in a escaping into an extra pancake that I don't necessarily need to eat right now, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
um there is this reminder that the more that I've done it, the more easily it comes. It's like a nudge, little whisper from my spirit that's like, what is true now? Like there's this, like a letting go of who I took myself to be in that moment before, just like a softening enough to kind of look at what's going on right now. And then comes the noticing, the remembering that I can change, and the imagining that what that may look like from a more aligned place. What action would that take? What would I do with my words? What would I do with my body? What would I do in order to step into the next natural step, to take the next natural step in that direction of discerning the difference and being responsible?
Yep. And there's always the element that will show up simultaneously that says, okay, but do I want to do something new? Do I want to change? Do I feel like it?
Mm.
And there's a lot of scientific evidence backing the notion that doing what you don't want to do, but simultaneously is a positive thing to do or the right thing to do, in the moment, actually enhances almost everything about your brain.
Mm.
In fact, there's a specific part of the brain, and I'm blanking on the name of it, the scientific name of this part of your brain, that is much larger typically in people who are in sports or people who are very high level in their field of study. That this part of the brain, which um, touches all of the other parts of the brain and enhances the efficiency of many other parts of the brain, this part is enlarged by 30-40% in these people that do sports and do things, because they wake up and every single day they're doing stuff they don't feel like doing but they know will help them. And there's just something about your intention and your connection and relationship to doing the things that you don't want to do that are the right thing to do,
Mm.
that have emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical benefits to them, including a better brain or better brain function. And so, in realizing sort of being true to those type of um, little tidbits and little facts that you can get from podcasts like this, or books that talk about self improvement. These these facts, help to bolster your inspiration to go ahead and do the things that sometimes you don't really feel like doing.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and so the just be part of this episode has to do with what is yourself. So we talked about your story, we talked about changing your story, and last thing is, what is yourself? Yourself is the sensation I am. No more, no less. A little bit more, but no less. um, the sensation I am, which is found in the here and now only. When you are practicing, let's say, silent sitting meditation or contemplation, reflection, and it's very intentional, and you've slowed down a little bit to do so, and you're not doing so to do the motions of it, but you're approaching it with earnest and curiosity and open mind and open heart. Then what you find is there's something that is consistent, a stillness that is consistent, that we call me, or I-ness, I-ness, pardon me, I am, that doesn't change with circumstances, and um, doesn't like come to visit like a thought and then leave, or come to visit like an emotion and then leave, or a mood. It's not a mood, it's not an emotion, it's not a thought form or a thought pattern. It simply is. And it's what we call me. It's the me that we refer to all day long when we talk about what's going on with us and what's going on in the world from our perspective, from my perspective. So anytime my, I, me is mentioned, thought about, or in relation to other thoughts and mentionings, that me-ness, if you notice it and you meditate with it and you sit with it and you open yourself to understanding it, um, this I am presence, you will notice doesn't change, doesn't come and go, and simply it doesn't participate in the story. And this reckoning, recognizing this about yourself, um, and I recommend doing so through meditation, through silence, it creates a profound door that you can travel through in detaching your identity from only being with your story. Creates an opportunity for you to identify more so with your pure self, the purity of just the presence I am within yourself.
No story attached. Yeah. Um, so I intend, my highest wish is that this episode was very helpful for you, and that you glean the gems that are going to be most useful to you at this stage in your life. And I cannot wait to see the goodness that's going to be in the comments. Whether it's you're watching this for the first time as a replay, or you happen to be watching live, take this moment to reflect, and take this moment to check in with, where was a moment in your life maybe where you noticed that there was this story that was automatically being retold, that was, I mean, it could be a positive story or it could be a negative story. But what was a story that you noticed just in time to either make a new decision or to really just appreciate it and relish in it? Um, so uh, take good care, loves. A grand rising indeed. A grand rising over here in YouTube land. And we will see you next time for our next episode on Tuesday, which is Cleanse Day. So we'll be diving into things that help us detoxify the body. We'll likely get into talking about spiritual baths or just healing baths to help take the load off of our internal organs so that we can detoxify more effectively. Yeah, take good care. See you later. Peace.